Texas gets a thrilling overtime win in the first game without head coach Chris Beard over Rice, 87-81. Hello, everyone. Welcome to SlasherU. I'm your host, Christian Rao, here with my co-host, Steve Feck, and we're going to break down number 7 Texas getting the win over Rice, 87-81 in overtime. And if I would have talked about this game a week ago, I don't know if this game would have made our slate, but this game became a very close game. One, because there's a new coach on the bench. We got an interim coach coaching the Longhorns, a team that has looked really good all season, beating some really tough teams. Creighton, when they were ranked number 7, they beat Gonzaga. This team has looked really good. They didn't look that great in this win against Rice. And, we just talked about it off the air here, Steve. You said if Rice was a better team, this game would have ended a completely different, and we would have a different mindset of this basketball game. But this one ends in overtime. Texas takes a commanding lead in overtime, 15-9 to win this one by 6. What's your thoughts on this one as they go with their first game without Chris Beard at the head coaching position?
Well, you have to give credit to the Owls. They smelled the blood in the water.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, or they saw that rodent coming out of the barn and said, "They're owls. We'll go that route instead."
There you go. Yeah.
And Rice has had a quiet, good start to their year.
Yeah, they're not 0-9. They finished. They're 6-3. They still have some good wins under their belt, and they take the 7th ranked team Texas to overtime. So, I mean, credit where's credit's due.
Yeah, but they did have 2 losses. They lost by 39 to Pepperdine.
Yeah.
It was pretty good in their own right, but you can't lose by 39 points to Pepperdine. And they lost by 35 to Middle Tennessee State.
Yeah, bad way to start the season. They flipped it around a little bit, but they started the season really rough.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And then, but the Longhorns were distracted. When something happens like what happened with their coach, we're not going to go into the details of that. That's going to play out, in the courts or whatever. But you can't have something like that play out. I mean, these players loved playing for Spirit. They loved playing for him. So to have that central figure now suddenly out of the picture, I mean, it's just human nature to be distracted.
Yeah, no matter the situation, it's a tough thing to overcome as a team, especially in the middle of a season. You don't have time to prepare mentally to not only have to face your next opponent, but then do it under the circumstances. So no matter the situation, yes, you have to overcome it. You have to move on from it and compete at the level you need to, especially as a top 10 team in the country. But by no means is this an easy thing for this team to do. And I think that credit deserves to be said there, that yes, they had a tough win. They got a tough win here. They should have beat the brakes off this team, but they found a way to win under the circumstances. And that's something that says a lot moving forward. I think that we might be able to see them they might be contested a little more. They might see some more diversity they have to overcome because of these kinds of concepts that are happening, but they found a way to win. And I think that means a lot.
Oh, no, it does. And again, they didn't have a lead in this game until the 15-minute mark of the second half.
Right.
There were 7 lead changes leading up to overtime. So, I mean, Rice gave them everything that they could. Now, they have an interim coach that's coached at Division I level before. He didn't have much success at Fresno State. He did a little bit better at UTEP, but he's now back. He came back to be an assistant at Texas. That's where he was before he went and took the other jobs. So Rodney Terry, he's been there. But there's a difference between being the head coach at Fresno State and being the head coach of the Texas Longhorns.
In the middle of a season.
Right.
He's thrown right into it.
Right. And the Texas alumni and the Texas fan base, they're not very forgiving.
They're not.
I mean, they're very loyal, and they will think up every possible kind of excuse to explain away when things don't play well. If you talk to a Texas Longhorns football fan, you'd swear to God that they got gypped out of a national playoff route, and they were what a 500 team. So the Longhorn fan base, they love their teams, they love their players, but they don't want to hear, "Oh, no. You were ranked in the top 10. You should have stayed there." I mean, that's your job. That's why we're paying you scholarship money, and that's why you get NIL money so that you can still produce despite all the other things. And that's not fair to these kids. It really is not. Do I think that Texas drops out of the top 25 at some point? I don't.
No, me neither.
Yeah, they're just too talented.
Yeah.
Do they keep that early run? Maybe they get their balance back, after another game or two. I know you always have the schedules in front of you. Who does Texas play the next couple of games?
Yeah, they have a nice, easy schedule. Well, a nice, easy game next against Stanford, who has had a rough go so far this season. They've been one of the most disappointing teams in the Pac-12, currently 3-6 in the Pac-12 Coast to Coast Challenge. That'll be on Sunday, so that's a nice game for them to get a nice rebounding and to get some clarity, if you will, as a team moving forward. But then they have some tough games. They got to play the Raging Cajuns, who are 9-1. Louisiana has been really tough. We're going to see that next Wednesday. And then they play Texas A&M Collegiate, which should be an easy game. But then they move into Big 12 play. And at the end of the year, New Year's Eve is loaded, by the way. I'm going to tell you, just sit down on the couch. We talked about New Year's Eve is going to be loaded for college basketball. Texas against Oklahoma starts it off. And then they play a Kansas State team that's on the brink of being ranked. And then we'll see them play TCU early in the year as well. So they have some tough games at the beginning of their Big 12 play. And I wouldn't rule out a tough game against those Raging Cajuns either. I think they've really shined so far, and their 9-1 record has really showed that as well. So, they have some tough schedules ahead. I think they can get through to Big 12 play before they, we see another loss. I think they can, but we have to see a little better play than we did against Rice in this last one.
Yeah, and I feel for the kids. I do. And again, these are young men. I shouldn't really call them kids, but at my age, anybody that doesn't have an AARP card is a kid. Okay, so they had a season to be proud of, and they should still have their heads up high. And if I were Rodney Terry, I would just play on an endless loop game highlights of all of those big wins.
Yeah, this is a team that will battle at the end of the season for one of those number one seeds come the tournament. I am completely.
I don't know about that now.
I do think that's going to be the case. I'll go on the limb and say it. I think they will be on the brink of being one of those top four teams. I don't know if they'll get it. We'll probably see them as a 2-3 seed, which is still going to be very impressive. But I think that we'll be having conversations all the way into the Big 12 tournament that Texas could be a number one seed. That's how talented I think this team is. I just think there's some things they got to overcome to get to that point. And right now it's, they're basically playing basketball, one hand tied behind their back, because you have to get over this. You got to move on. And by no means is this easy. We see this happen with other teams, and they fall behind real quick. They fall into a slump and they have rough times, but so far Texas has done what they need to do. They won that game against Rice. It wasn't pretty, but they found a way to win.
Right.
And
win.
Yeah. And I see that happening again until we get to Big 12 play. Obviously, conference play is a different beast in itself. Maybe a little question mark against what we see about Louisiana, because they've shown to be pretty tough so far this year. But I think the Longhorns can get it done.
Yeah, I think Louisiana, as far as an inside game in the paint, that's going to be a fun matchup between those two teams. Texas is going to have to step up its perimeter shooting. They didn't shoot very well in this game whatsoever. But again, you could write it off to just being one of those nights. Even with everything going on around them, maybe it was just one of those nights. Maybe we're reading too much into this. But knowing how fond these players were of their coach, it's going to take a little while, I think, for them. So maybe playing, Louisiana before Big 12 conference play, maybe that is an advantage to them, because they just can't sit there and lick their wounds. They can say, well, wow.
That's a good way to look at it.
It might even be like an in-game halftime adjustment, saying, wait a minute, we can't let these guys blow us out of the gym. We got to make these adjustments. So I think having those challenges will be good for them, interspersed with some of the games where there are regional rivalries, and it's really more of a gate deal for the smaller local universities coming into play. So I don't know, boy. If Texas is a 1 or a 2 seed after this happening, look out in the tournament because nothing is going to stop them. I mean, I can see them easily being a 3 or a 4 seed. But if you're right, and they're in the conversation of 1 seed, and they end up as a 2 seed, even wow, there's just too much talent on the court.
Yep, I'm with you. Let us know your thoughts in the comment description below. Hit like and subscribe while you're there. And thanks for watching SlasherU.